All right. Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, children.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler,
Mm-hmm.
how are you today, sir?
We feeling good. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day.
So beautiful. So much
Beautiful,
sunshine.
beautiful day inside my house as I sit in
Yeah.
my office. It's nice. We are celebrating the spirit of fall here today. If you can't tell, this is anything for a bit. Eli Pena Cowboys fall collection. So, if anybody wants to know where I got the wardrobe from, I don't remember. But we are here. We are back, getting right back on our better on our routine here. Last couple weeks have been a little bit weird for us. We had our watch party last week that was fun outside of taking an L to the Broncos. That was pretty tough. But the engagement, everything like that was a lot of fun. We might do that again in the future. That was a pretty cool experience there to kind of switch things up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get to do a game recap this week. I was out of town.
That's because we're throwing it away.
Yeah, right. We want to forget about the game. I was out of town this week. You were running solo dad duty this week for a while. So schedules, lives, things happen. But we are happy to be back here with everybody now. So let's talk Falcons Cowboys, man.
That's right.
Coming off of a tough loss to the Broncos last week, like we just talked about there, 30-16.
They played last week?
Yeah. Oh, we're doing a bit. Got it. My bad. I'm sorry. A little bit slow on the uptake here, guys.
Thought it was anything for a bit.
Apologize for ruining Tyler's bit there.
No, please carry on.
But yeah, not the way that we wanted things to work out last week. Obviously, not the way that most people thought things were going to work out. But the Broncos came in here and they put it on us. This week we get to match up against another 4-4 team, just like the Broncos were last week. Hopefully with a better result. But we get another 4-4 team in the Atlanta Falcons. So just a couple things from roster updates, stuff to look at there before we get too far into the discussion. Man, we're really starting to stack up. Some of these injuries. Just a lot of guys getting banged up.
Yeah.
Obviously D-Law's been out for a while. We're still waiting probably a few weeks for him to come back. Still haven't seen Gallup or Hill in the middle of that defense this year. Brent Urban, who probably is undersold as one of our best run defenders, is on IR right now. You got Blake Jarwin on IR. Tyron Smith is not on IR, but didn't play last week, isn't going to play this week. And then the new addition, as of a couple days ago, our man Randy Gregory goes down with a calf strain. Really seems like for some reason these Dallas gents are having a tough time with the calf muscles lately. We got Gallup down with the calf strain. We had Dak go down with the calf strain. And now we can add Randy Gregory to that list. Listening to Mike McCarthy in his press conference a couple days ago, it does sound like it's going to be a multi-week injury. They went ahead and moved him on to IR the day after. So we're going to be without Randy for at least 3 weeks, potentially more than that. Probably looking after Thanksgiving sometime before we're going to get him back. Just starting to stack up, man. Not a great time to start seeing some of these injuries go by.
This is we've kind of been, I won't say lucky, but I mean, we've just been fortunate up until this point that we hadn't had a huge rash of injuries. We had some, but we've had people to step in and cover it. Now we're starting to get injured at positions we're already injured at. And now we really testing the depth of the team.
Yeah, for real.
The coaching, the preparation,
right.
All those things that we said were so great these first his first almost half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we definitely are going to see now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it just it's tough, but I mean it's part of the NFL, right? Everybody
Right.
goes through it. It's not unique to the Dallas Cowboys, but
Hmm.
it just seems like this is it's starting to roll up a little bit. Just a couple other notes. We're gonna be without Greg Zerline this week. Some people might be cheering about that, but he is out with COVID this week, or he's on the COVID list. So we'll
Hmm.
probably miss him this week. We'll see if he's back next week. And I'm gonna try really hard not to butcher the name of this guy that we signed this week. He was on the practice squad with us earlier in the year. We cut him. Then we brought him and Brett Maher back in for a kicking competition this week, basically, and he won out. His name is Lirim Hajrulahu.
Okay.
Hajrulahu. That's what we're gonna go with. Nailed it. So he is going to be our kicker this week. He's played in the CFL. I think they said he's an 80% kicker in the CFL, so he's got some professional kicking, but nothing in the NFL. So it will be his NFL debut outside of like preseason games, stuff like that. But he does have some professional experience kicking with the CFL, so we'll see how our guy Liram does in lieu of Greg Zerline this week. On a positive note, looks like we're going to see some Michael Gallup this week finally.
Yay.
So we haven't seen Gallup since week 1. Looks like we're finally going to get him back from that calf strain, get him in the mix there, and I think that it's going to make an impact. Where do you see Gallup kind of fitting in? What does he bring to this offense that we've been missing? I know this has been a high-powered offense outside of last week, but where does Michael Gallup come into play for you? How does he impact this offense? What looks different with him in this lineup?
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about the top offense in football, so they've obviously been okay, right,
Sure,
without him.
sure.
Um, and I mean, Amari Cooper has been good down the field. We've seen CD Lamb go down the field a few times and make some plays. Cedric Wilson, certainly. Um, but those guys aren't Michael Gallup. That's his specialty, right? Like they can. Um, but this is the defense stretcher, right? And not only that, Michael Gallup has turned into a fantastic like high pointer too, right? Like I want to when he goes airborne, right? There's a pretty good chance he's gonna come down with that ball. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is a good contested down the field receiver. Um, and he runs by people. Now, as far as what it does for the offense, we've seen Kellen put out there multiple times formations that just stress the defense, tell the coverage, right? And that's what all the great play callers are doing is just making you show your hand right at the line of scrimmage and and they kind of know where you're going to be at. So they want to make sure they have a mismatch on the field to take advantage of that. I think Gallup just lets everyone slide into their natural position. And I mean, just more mismatches, right? We're not doubling in, we're not keying in, right? On CD and Amari, right?
Right.
Or Jarwin or Schultz and Amari. Uh, you're just gonna have too many people left open now, right? And before the Cowboys were making those plays, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Cedric Wilson was stepping up, Noah Brown was stepping
Mm-hmm.
up, Jarwin, even though not targeted heavily in the first part of the season, stepping up. So the just the addition of Gallup is just, I mean, adds to the embarrassment of riches. I don't know what is it going to do to the offense. I mean, they're already the best in the league.
Right.
They just will have more options,
Mm-hmm.
and your defense will have to have just very versatile, very good, back seven, right? The backs, the linebackers and the DBs. You're gonna have to be really good to keep the Cowboys from scoring.
Right.
Which going into this stretch of the season where we're a little banged up on the defensive side of the ball, and we're coming back down to earth from all the turnovers too, right? Um, there's definitely going to be some games where we're probably going to need to score 35, 38
Oh
points,
yeah, for
right?
sure, for
With
sure.
with teams that even including this week, right? Where you think like, yeah, we're going to beat the Falcons. It's like, yeah, we will, but like they're going to score more than you think.
Yeah,
It's going to
sure,
be,
sure.
it might turn into some shootouts.
Sure. No, I
So,
mean I'm right in line with you there, and looks like we got our first couple comments in the chat. Noble, who showed up last week, just really enjoys listening to my voice. Apparently, says that he loves me. He's my number one fan. So I'm
so
getting
you
a
don't know
little
who this is.
starting to blush a little bit over here. I have
Wow.
a secret, not so secret admirer, but this is week number 2. So Noble, thank you for the love. I appreciate having a number one fan. Hopefully one day I can get popular enough to
It's
have a number
probably
2
you.
fan as
I'm
well.
gonna have to do some research
Oh
because
yeah,
I'm
this is
pretty
this
sure
is
it's
my
you.
private YouTube account. Yeah, I'm over
I'm
here just
pretty
like
sure it's you.
Eli's so awesome. He's great. He's the
He's so
best.
good.
Um but yeah, just to kind of put a bow on the Michael Gallup piece, I think what he brings to the offense, and you kind of made a point of it, where it lets everybody kind of slide into their natural roles. I
Mhm.
think like CD in particular, right?
Mhm.
CD is a guy that he wins on the outside just fine, right? But where you really see him do a lot of damage is when you let him work in the slot, get
Mhm.
open across the middle of the field.
Mhm.
And I'd heard a stat the other day when I was listening to the fan on the radio, and they were saying that ran about 40, I think it was like 44% of his routes. As basically the Z outside receiver. So the off
Mhm.
ball, off scrimmage outside receiver.
Mhm.
And he's run like something like 25% from the slot.
Mhm.
I really think that Michael Gallup let CD kind of fit back into that more natural slot role. He starts running more than half of his routes from the slots. It's going to be a problem, man, because there's just not that many slot corners out there that can cover someone the caliber of CD Lamb on a regular basis.
No.
So I think it puts that in the place there. It also just brings a different physicality to the field, right? Michael Gallup kind of does a little bit of what, Cowboys fans are used to seeing from a guy like Dez Bryant back in the day.
Mhm.
Not that he's the caliber of Dez, right? But like you were
Mhm.
saying, that go up and get it, jump ball, get that downfield, on the fade route.
Even the
Uh,
slants too,
yeah, right.
Gallup is a nice
hmm
target on the slants too.
Yeah, so I think you get a little bit of, what you used to have kind of with some of that Dez physicality. And,
Mhm.
Sed has done a great job, but he's not that same, physical receiver that you get in Michael Gallup. So
Mhm.
I would venture
Probably
to
a better
guess that.
blocker in the run game too.
Sure, sure. Probably not a better quarterback though. Uh,
Mm.
but I would venture to guess that Dak is going to be happy to have, Gallup back
For
in the mix
sure.
this week. So
For sure.
hopefully he can get in, get some routes run, and have a good day. On the Falcons
Mhm.
end, no major injury updates. They're actually looking pretty healthy for the most part right now.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's no Calvin Ridley. He stepped away a
Still
couple
working
weeks
through it.
ago,
Mhm.
working through some mental health issues. Obviously,
Mhm.
hope everything is good there with him and he can work his way back.
Mhm.
And then, just one other injury of note, Dante Fowler Jr., one of those edge rushers for the Falcons, is on IR. So, we won't have to worry about him on
I was
Sunday.
reading about him. He practiced this week, but they're very, very doubtful he will play.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about him this week.
Yeah. They haven't activated him off IR yet.
Mhm.
So, they've still got some work to do there if he's going to play, but I don't
Mhm.
think we're going to see him. So,
Nah, but he's coming.
um, cool, man. Let's get into some trench talk. Take me through
Yeah,
what's
yeah, yeah,
going on
yeah,
those
yeah.
offensive defensive lines this week.
Man, so I'll start with the defensive line because you've got obviously your injury to Gregory. That's big. Gregory's been one of the three best pass rushers in football this year. So
Mm-hmm.
just a
Been a
big
machine.
blow there, right? Tank's still out. Um, but our opponent is weak, right? So they have given I looked at a stat or was reading here. Let me pull this up actually. all 5 of the Falcons offensive line starters have allowed double-digit pressures. Okay. With the rookie guard, Jalen Mayfield, surrendering 31 pressures on 345 snaps.
Oof.
Okay. The only person on the line is the guard on the other side of him. Lindstrom is the only Falcon that hasn't allowed a sack either. Okay. So they're getting beat. It's every position. It's everywhere. Okay. It's really bad. So you're seeing this week, I would say, Micah coming down on the line, right? And just letting him pass rush like we saw earlier in the season. Micah could line up anywhere against this front, and I know Dan Quinn's salivating at the opportunity to punish the Falcons. Micah can line up anywhere and wreck this game from a pass rushing standpoint. This could be one of those games where he goes just completely bananas, 5-6 pressures, 2.5 sacks, forced fumble. They're bad. The only thing that is going to keep the Cowboys pass rush at bay is how fast and how accurate Matt Ryan plays. And he's been doing it really well this year. He's definitely, still playing at a high level. So he's not allowing the sack numbers to be as bad as they could be. He can't control the pressures, but he is getting the ball out. He's still being efficient. And they do have some pretty versatile weapons on their offense that I'm sure we'll talk about later that can give you some headaches. On the Cowboys side, our offensive line is looking, to bounce back because Steele, after having a very applauded, right? And this is the NFL, this is the life, right? After having a very applauded start to the season, you flip to the left side and you gave up. Let me make sure, because I don't want to get these numbers wrong. Because
yes, please.
I want to make sure people know exactly what he did.
For accuracy's sake.
So Tyron has allowed just 5 total pressures in the 7 games, right? And Tyron Smith being out, right? Maybe I should have led with that, I assume. But Tyron Smith, right, is out. So that's a big, huge hole, which, this is kind of, we kind of talked about this, about Tyron he's getting hurt. It's always a little banged up, always missing a game here, missing a game there. This is reality now on that left side of the offensive line. But Steele comes in and 9 pressures, okay? He allowed 9 pressures in one game. Oof. And gave up 2 sacks.
Oof.
Okay.
Not a great game.
And look, I know that it's different, right? There's a reason that people aren't just switching right to left. But you cannot, if that is what Terrence, now, maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. He's not going to play that bad, right? That's about as bad of a day as you can have, right? Hopefully he bounces back. But there's going to be that, there's not a lot of I think we talked about that, right? There's not a lot of credit that was given to you're playing next to Zach Martin. Right? Hey, you're on the side for me. We can give you some help. We're going to bring that tight end. We're going to motion that tight end in. We're going to motion that wide receiver back. We're going to throw 2 tight ends on the end of that formation there. On that left side, they were like, hey, you're a big boy. We're going to let you handle that. And he got taken to work, but again, hopefully he can bounce back this week because again, although Grady Jarrett is probably the biggest name, not probably, he's the biggest name that they're going to be playing against this week.
Sure.
The Falcons defense has done nothing to talk about. Their defensive line has on paper looks like 4 really good linemen, but they're not stopping the run. They have 11 sacks, which is like second to last in the league. Uh, they don't generate pressure. Uh, they just don't do anything. They don't push the line of scrimmage back. Like nothing good. They're just there. And Grady Jarrett is just there. And he's really good, but he's one guy. And uh the Cowboys offensive line should be able to do what they want, with the front of the Falcons. But as we saw last week, the things can definitely surprise you on a Sunday, but this is definitely shaping up to be a matchup that we win in the trenches despite the injuries, right? And really both sides favor the Cowboys. Um, the only thing that's going to get them in trouble is if Grady Jarrett has just, a monster day and, is blowing up the inside of that line, bringing pressure right up the middle. Or if Matt Ryan, like I said, just stands back there and fillets the defense because, he's getting the ball out quick. And they're using, Patterson and Pitts. They're real creative on I was reading about they use this no huddle set where they come on the field and they've got the running back, they've got Patterson back there, and they wait until you leave that linebacker on the field, and then they start going no huddle and go 5 wide basically with Pitts and Patterson spread out. And I mean, they pick you to death or make you call a timeout. Like you can't match up with those dudes. Any linebacker on them is a problem. And the best corners, just like you mentioned during the draft coverage when you were going through it with me, the best corners are covering Kyle Pitts. And he's still open and he's still catching the ball. So
it's still good.
It's definitely, like I said, the advantage is in the trenches for the Cowboys on both sides. But just wouldn't surprise me if that Falcons offense got off some points this week, because they give you some headaches from a matchup perspective.
Let's talk about some of the players in that Falcons offense while you're on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned a couple guys, and one guy that I want to talk about right off the jump, and you talked about kind of the pre-draft research stuff like that with Kyle Pitts. And you guys know how I love to do my rookie watch whenever I get to look at some of these first round rookies that were highly touted prospects. So this week we've got this Pitts versus Parsons matchup. I don't know that we're gonna see Parsons on Pitts because Pitts would win that every single time.
Yeah. They're not going to be playing in the same part of the field this week either, though.
Yeah, right. Like I that would be a tough matchup for Micah for sure. But just a couple interesting things to note. This is not the first time.
Yeah, I was looking in the notes here.
Yeah,
Tell me about this.
Kyle Pitts versus Micah Parsons dates all the way back to their high school days, actually, where Kyle Pitts High School played in the 5A Pennsylvania State Championship against Micah Parsons' high school team. Interesting tidbit there. They actually were on opposite sides of the field when they played in high school. So Micah Parsons was a running back for his high school team, and Kyle Pitts was I think he was a D end. I think Kyle Pitts was a defensive end.
Yeah, because they were the best athletes by far.
Right. So, hopefully this game turns out differently than that one. I think it was like 34-10 or something like that. So Kyle Pitts' team took home that state championship. Saw Micah talking about that a little bit this week, kind of talking about how, that still hurts his soul that they lost that state championship game. I think it was 4 in a row for Kyle Pitts for his high school where he went to school at. They won. I think it was like their 4th in a row. So they were winning state championships left and right back then. But yeah, so that matchup kind of dates back all the way even before their college days. There's even a video, an unfortunate video for Micah circulating out there where Pitts kind of body slams our guy, takes him to the turf. So
Eek.
we won't show that here because Parsons is our guy.
What
But
video?
yeah, right. But if you want to go see it, it's out there. Just a couple other notes with Pitts. This guy was my number one prospect.
Yeah, you wanted the Cowboys to take
Right, but, like,
Pitts.
when I say he was my number 1, I mean out of everybody,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he was above the quarterbacks for me. He was above anybody on the defense. He was above all the wide
We talked
receivers, all
about
the linemen.
scenarios where he fell, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah,
I
I was
you
trying very hard to get
because I
Kyle Pitts
remember
to
this
number
idea
10.
of like, oh man, we could have
Yeah,
Kyle
yeah, yeah,
Pitts.
yeah,
Okay,
no, I
yeah,
was
I'd be
trying
good with that.
very hard. I really wanted,
We see
Atlanta
why he
needed
didn't fall though.
Atlanta needed to draft Justin Fields for us to have a shot at Kyle Pitts in
That's
those
right.
scenarios.
Yeah.
But they made the right choice and picked him, where they did. Kyle Pitts is an absolute monster. I mean, like you said, looking, going back to his college film. I mean, he had, the top corners in this draft class, right? You
Right.
had
All of
JC
them.
Horn. Man, you had our guy, Boss Man Fat. He put up some tape with Kyle Pitts, and we'll just say it was better tape for Kyle Pitts than it was for Kelvin Joseph.
Everyone's tape
Um,
against Kyle Pitts is better for Kyle
right,
Pitts.
right.
He's a freak, man. You can't stop that dude. The chemistry is building with him and Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
They also are getting, like I was mentioning at the end of Trench Talk, they're just getting way more creative about the personnel groupings.
Sure.
And I guess it's not necessarily that they're creative because it's 11 personnel. It's just that the tight end and running back can do anything. Right. So it's
right. Your tight end's actually a wide receiver, and your running back is who knows what.
Because if you play dime and you go too small, they will run on you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put linebackers on the field, I mean, good luck, bro. The good thing that I think about our team is that we do have that versatility to play 3 DB, 3 safety packages, and we'll play the run too. That's fine. I do feel good, particularly about matching up with their Swiss Army knives. If we go like that,
I don't.
It'll be okay.
Nervous.
I mean, they're gonna get theirs.
Yeah, look, I don't think that they're gonna beat us to the point to where they win the game, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, look, man, we don't have anybody that's gonna cover Kyle Pitts. Unless we're gonna travel Diggs, right? Jaron Curse isn't athletic enough to play with him. Jay Lou in the slot is probably too small, right? That's like a 5'10", 5'11" corner against a 6'6" wide receiver. Anthony Brown's not going to guard him.
Okay, no one
Kazee
person is going to
Hooker,
guard him. Nobody.
Keanu Neal?
Nobody.
Micah?
Nobody.
Nobody can guard him.
But Dan Quinn has to have known already that he can't guard him one-on-one.
Man.
So I'm going to trust him. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said.
Because they don't have much us outside.
Right. They've got Pitts, who, I mean, is doing what everybody thought he would do from the jump, right? He's on pace for 70-plus catches, 1,000-plus yards. Only 1 touchdown. So maybe Matt Ryan has found his new Julio Jones, who, he'll just throw for 4,000 yards and never let him score.
It's just so easy to get Patterson open at the goal in that red zone.
Right. And, Patterson, to your point, kind of being that Swiss Army knife, right? He has almost like 800 all-purpose yards already, 8 games into the year.
It's crazy.
So he's only got about 300 rushing yards, and he's averaging less than 4 yards per carry. So Cordero Patterson, yes, is their RB1. They do run the ball with him. It's not super efficient or effective.
It's just to show it.
Exactly, right? It's just that he can do so much.
Yeah.
Because, you look at that, right? His rushing yards are fairly unimpressive, 300 yards, only a couple scores on the ground. But then you mix it in with his receptions, and he's got almost 500 yards receiving. So he has almost as many receiving yards as Kyle Pitts. There's about a 100-yard difference there. And he has 5 receiving touchdowns. Now 3 of those came in one game, but still, he's up above, an 800-yard spot there, close to 800 yards total yards from scrimmage and 7 touchdowns. And it's just crazy, this idea that Cordero Patterson had to get with the Atlanta Falcons to unlock this potential, right? It's like all of a sudden, Matt Ryan and a rookie head coach have unlocked Cordero Patterson. But yeah, like you said, I mean, there's really not much outside of those two.
Right.
You kind of mentioned Matt Ryan is playing really well this year. He's a 15-6 touchdown to interception ratio, but 3 of those interceptions came in week 2.
Right.
Right. So really in the other 7 games that he's played, he's got 3 interceptions. And I think he was 2 touchdowns in that game. So he's like 13-3 outside of that one game, or
Yeah, he's
14
being
and 3.
efficient, man. Those quarterbacks who quote unquote have all the answers to the test, outside of Big Ben, just because he's not physically
His arm doesn't work
supposed to be
anymore.
playing
So
football.
yeah, his arm doesn't work anymore.
Those guys that have the answers to the test. I mean, even look at Phillip Rivers in his last season
Hmm.
with the Colts. It's just hard for them to not be successful. If the team is marginally okay around them, they're gonna get it done. That offense is okay. That offensive line is bad, and the rest of the offense is okay, and they don't have Calvin Ridley, and he's still, he getting it done. He putting up points, making it go over there. So, like I said, they're gonna score a little bit. They're gonna move the ball. You just don't want to see the bonehead penalties, right? You don't want to see letting them stay on the field, on the third downs and stuff like that. Because that's where you start getting in trouble, right? You give Matt Ryan a chance, except asterisk the Super Bowl, but give Matt Ryan a chance to beat you or go up on you. Just don't play around with a veteran quarterback like that. He knows what he's doing, right? You gotta make it hard for him. You really got. I really do think Dan Quinn is gonna make them try to beat with the God. I don't even know their other guys' names. The other 2 receivers, Russell Gage,
Zacchaeus, what's his name?
Olamide, Zacchaeus,
Yeah.
Gage, and Sharp. Okay.
Zacchaeus has kind of been their number 1 guy. He's not listed like that on the depth chart, but he's
Yeah.
been one of their number 1 guy since Calvin's gone down.
Yeah.
When you look at it from the receivers. So I mean, there's a couple guys to watch there.
And I
Russell
mean,
Gage has had some good games.
I just think they're gonna say, "Hey, look, let's just try. Let's just see if Matt Ryan's willing to beat us 1-on-1 with those dudes."
And that's
And
probably what's going to happen, right? The
yeah,
Cowboys play a lot of man coverage as is
exactly. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's going to come down to your earlier point, right? If is Matt Ryan? Do we let him be too comfortable in the pocket? Because if we let that dude be comfortable, I don't care who he's throwing to. It'll
It's gonna
be
get
like
there.
Aaron Rodgers, right? It doesn't matter who Aaron
Matty
Rodgers is
Ice,
throwing to.
baby. Don't
Yeah,
let him
right.
get going.
He is still a very good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, man.
He's number 1 in the league in QBR over the past 2 or 3 weeks. So he's been playing some really good football here recently. So yeah, we'll see how the defense can stack up against them. One quick, just a comment with this offense. I'm a little bit concerned about some of the explosiveness here. Obviously, not a great game last week. I'm
Yeah.
hopeful, and I believe that it's going to be better this week. But
Uh-huh.
coming out of last week, we talked about all the guys that are out, but you've got a laundry list of dudes on the injury report that are going to plan to play. But CD came out of that with an ankle. Coop is always on the injury report.
Yep.
Zeke came out of that with an ankle. Cedric Wilson is questionable to play. Looks like he's probably going to play, but he's a little banged up. So, do you have any concerns, with the explosiveness of that offense? Missing some of these pieces on the offensive line. Some of these guys banged up. Dak coming back from the calf strain, looking a little rusty last week. What is your concern radar telling you? Where are we on a scale of 1 to 10 with this offense?
I'm gonna put it at a 4.
Okay.
Yes, baby, I will.
Is Livy making a guest appearance?
Nope. She just wants a Hello Kitty dress.
Got it. We can make that happen.
So I'll put it at a 4. If you tell me 1 to 10, I'm gonna put it at a 4 because it's concerning, right? You're talking about lower body injuries with Lamb, Coop, and Zeke. What's Ced's injury?
Let me pull it up real quick.
What is Cedric's injury? I just don't want to assume it's lower body. But if that is the case, right? I'm sure you confirm it for me here. There's always a little
Shoulder.
worry. A shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, still.
Maybe he just can't be our backup quarterback anymore.
You do worry a little bit about explosiveness, and that's just from the standpoint of, are they worried about it? Are they not going 100% on a route or a certain play because they don't want to strain it, or they feel strained already? Because everyone's playing hurt, right? The only reason I give it a 4 is because they're pros, right? If you're in the NFL, you have played with significant injury at some point, so you have the capability, right, to still go out and perform. But you're right, there may be a little less. Now, the caveat I give you there is, I always think Coop is so hurt that, like, oh
Right.
man, he's gonna run like stop routes,
That dude limps
right?
up to the line of the scrimmage.
And then
Line of
he
scrimmage and
literally he rolls up to
right,
the line of
right,
scrimmage in a
right,
wheelchair and
right,
runs a go route, bro.
right,
Okay,
right.
so
He cooks
like,
the DB.
so and Coop, everybody's different. I'm not saying everybody's got that mental switch, right? Where Coop might just have that Kobe mentality, like, I'm here, so I'm doing it. I am a little concerned about Zeke. He's a physical. That's a physical position.
And he's a physical runner.
And you going to get landed on.
Mm-hmm.
So how it just takes one dude laying on it, to tweak it, and you're good. I think they'll still play. I am somewhat worried. Because when you play injured, you got a chance, to get. Or sorry, when you play hurt, you got a chance to really get injured. So I mean, nah. If they were like being held out of practice all week, like no participation, no nothing, and like, oh, it's a game time to sit, then yeah, hell yeah, I'm worried. I mean, I think it'd be all right. If they haven't, if they're not, going in here, just like, oh, he may miss a week or he may this, I think we'll be all right. Because they're gonna have to eat, because everybody plays with a little bit of hang up, so it'll be all right.
I think kind of my concern with it is more so like in the flow of the game. Are we going to kind of see it where we saw last week with Zeke, right? Where it's 2, 3, 4 series, and we're like, okay, are we gonna see Zeke, and then he comes back in, but what did we miss there? Or okay, we got Gallup back, but now Coop has to take a series or two off, right? So
Right.
and said shoulder's not feeling well. So now we're rolling out here with Gallup and CD Lamb and Noah Brown, right? Instead of Amari Cooper or said, that's more, I think, where, if this is a close game, then some of those series like that where, some of these guys that are a little bit banged off may not be able to go 60 snaps. That's where I start to see some of that concern, is if we start to see a trend with a couple of these guys like that.
I was going to say, before Olivia came in, I was going to say it just is really going to depend, what it looks like when the game starts. You can kind of tell, right? But again, when you're a little nicked up already, it just takes one play. So you just hope that everybody gets through it with good health. But I mean, I do see the point there. And I do think the games will be closer because of the injuries on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, those 10, 15 plays extra they got to come off
that may
end up being the
maker,
difference,
Yeah.
to get in field goal range or finish a drive or something like that.
Well, and remember with the field goal range piece, even though Zerline may not be everybody's favorite kicker, but at least he's kicked at the NFL before.
Right.
How aggressive are we going to be, or how aggressive are we going to be able to be, on 4th and short, or in the red zone or on the goal line? Because I don't think we're gonna want like a recipe where this guy's got to kick 3 or 4 field goals tomorrow afternoon is not a recipe that's gonna grant us a W.
Homeboy better be practicing all night.
Right. Speaking of what might be able to grant us a W,
win.
Let's do some Cowboys win, lose, if, and then get some game predictions.
You think they winning?
I think they're gonna win.
That was
I
a
think
long
they're gonna win. I think it's gonna be closer than a lot of people are looking at it as. We made this mistake last week with Denver, right? And Vegas has the line at like a 9-point game.
Okay.
I think.
Well, people were foaming at the mouth Monday, being like, "We're gonna kick Atlanta's ass."
Yeah, right. And I really hope they come out with that energy. I'm just looking at the reality of the situation with how many banged up players we have, right? How many people we're going to be missing.
And sorry, I didn't mean like the team. I meant like the fans.
Yeah, no, the fans,
like
right?
Yeah. Because the team always is, locked in.
Sure.
But
except for last week,
right? The fans we're gonna absolutely smash Atlanta.
Right, we're gonna pour out all of this anger from this loss on them.
60
I hope they do.
Coming up.
I really do. I hope they drop 40 on them, and I'm wrong here.
Nah, it's gonna be close, bro.
Yeah, so I've got my win, lose, if. I've got, the Cowboys win if Dak and the offense round back into form, right? So we're just talking about some of the explosiveness, some of the banged up players. But I think that, this Atlanta defense, you've already made the point. It's so atrocious that if our offense is doing our thing, their offense isn't going to be able to keep up.
Yeah.
And I think we lose if, kind of like we saw last week a little bit, right? If we let Matt Ryan get comfortable in the pocket, right? If we let Matt Ryan get comfortable and dissect us, if we let Cordero Patterson just run free all game, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. That's how this game stays close. That's how we could lose this game, especially given all the other circumstances. And then I am going to make my prediction. I think the Cowboys are going to win. But I've got it 27-24. So I think it's going to be a pretty close game. Like I said, Vegas has it at a 9-point game as the line last I saw. But yeah, I've got this being a field goal game. I think that we're missing too much on the pass rush to really
Vegas
shut them
has
down.
The Cowboys by 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As of like a day or two ago, that line could have adjusted with like Randy Gregory's injury or something. But even then, it shouldn't have adjusted very much. A singular defensive player doesn't usually make that much of a movement in a game line. We saw it swing like 5 points for Dak, but that's your all-pro quarterback. So yeah, I've got it 27-24. I think the Cowboys they're gonna get enough scoring possessions, with a handful of touchdowns, and hopefully our guy Liram can step in and hit a couple short field goals is what I'm hoping for. Maybe we stall out and he gets a couple, 42-yard field goals. 8.5 is the line. So I'm a little bit closer than the Vegas line, but I do think the boys are gonna eke out a win on this one still, and we're gonna roll into the next game 7-2. Where you got us at?
Yeah, man, I'm fairly close. I think we're gonna score a bit more. I do have a win. I have the final score as 31-24.
Okay. So you've got the same points for the Falcons, but an extra touchdown or so.
Yeah. Because this Falcons offense, or the Falcons defense, is bad.
It is.
And you are not the top offense in the league for 7-8 weeks in a row. Then have a bad game, right? Which is okay. Yeah, you have a bad day. I cannot. I would like to not. I won't say I can't see, but I would like to not see 2 games in a row of just like super, poor offensive performance. Even a return to 80% of our offensive form, right, is better than, most teams. The Cowboys are going to get together. They're focused. They had an embarrassing week, right? And they're definitely right. They're a prideful group. You can tell by the energy this year. They don't want to be known as the fakers. They don't want to be known as the pretenders and all of that. So I do think they play with a little more edge this week on offense. And despite the injuries, find a way to punish, that Atlanta defense. And the only way I think, or not the only, because it is football, anything can happen, but some of the ways I think that can get undone quickly, like you mentioned, is the comfort level of Matt Ryan. How quick are we getting to the quarterback, and how well are we taking away the options that he wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we do play good coverage, right, on Patterson, Pitts, and then give him 3 or 4 seconds to find Tajay Sharp, we're going to be screaming at the TV when, 2 no-name receivers have 100 yards, and a touchdown because Matt Ryan's filleting the defense, right?
Right.
Conversely, right, if our offensive line, specifically Mr. Steele, or any one of them really, decides they want to be a turnstile for the day and, put Dak in bad situation. Again, it's not pressure in general that gives Dak a problem. It's just, hey, I need to be able to identify it and know who I'm manipulating.
Right.
And, having that backside be just a turnstile, we can't live with that. So we get pressure and we're, going 3 and out and giving Matt Ryan more, time with the ball like we did Denver. Bad recipe. Bad, very, very bad recipe. We already saw what happens if you put really any NFL defense on the field for that long, but particularly ours. We just don't want to go there. But I'm predicting a win 31-24. Cowboys get back on track. Falcons, battle, feel good about it, but, lick their wounds and go back to the NFC South.
And Dan Quinn, Keanu Neal, and DeMonte KZ
take it to him.
Stick it to the Falcons.
Yeah, man. And there's, I believe those guys play hard every week. Maybe it's just a little more, special for
a little more personal.
Yeah. A little more special if you get that win, over a team that moved on from you.
For sure.
No, I think they'll take care of business this week.
Fingers crossed. We're feeling a little bit less confident than we were. Right.
I was about to say that
one bad week
is
tough.
Like,
it leaves a sour taste. But no, I think we will. I think we'll be in good shape. The guys that we have are gonna keep this thing afloat, keep us in good position. We're gonna get these guys, Randy, D-Law, Tyron. We're gonna get them back. We're gonna push for a big playoff.
This is the game. This is the game where the offense. This is the game where the offense takes over for the next 3 to 4 weeks and really carries this team while the defense gets healthy. This is going to be the start of it.
We'll love to see it happen. Cool. You got anything else before we get out of here?
Nah, man. Just appreciate the interaction, the subscribers. Definitely is fun. Hope we get to do a watch party again soon. That was dope. Just want it to be a win. So we're not.
Yeah, right. Pick a Washington game or something like that we're super confident.
But yeah, I feel good. Everybody have a good weekend. I'll be easy.
All right, peeps. Holla. We out.